96.5 The Fox, Bismarck, Mandan's classic rock station with free beer and hot wings every weekday morning. Couple of big shows coming up at the Belle Mehus Auditorium. Saturday, July 23rd, Ron White is back in Bismarck, and Ron woke up this morning just to call in and talk to me. Ron, what's going on?
Hey, what did you say? There's free wings and what?
Our morning show is free beer and hot wings. I think you'd like it.
What time do they serve those free beers and hot wings?
It starts at 5 a.m., which is when it should start, I think.
You got the rule, man. You got the rule. We'll drink and eat hot wings whenever we want to.
Exactly. That's how it works here in Bismarck, North Dakota. Now, Ron, when these shows were announced, the first thing people started asking is, will the Bismarck Police Department be paying Ron White a visit yet again?
I don't know. Did they pay me a visit last time I was there? I know I got a little trouble for smoking on stage.
No, yeah, I wasn't here last time you were in town, but I guess some good Samaritan felt the need to inform the Bismarck Police Department that you smoked during your show, and they actually had an officer at the show, and they were thinking about charging you with something, I believe.
Yeah, they wrote me a ticket for $100, and luckily, with some fundraising efforts, and I borrowed some money from Larry the Cable Guy, we were able to pay that fine.
Now, before we talk about the shows in Bismarck, I want to talk about one of the other projects you have currently going on, Showtime's Roadies. It debuted a few weeks ago. What has the response been like to the TV show?
It's been just tremendously positive, and some of the critics don't like it, but some of the critics can just go jump. But whenever you look at I've got 2 million followers on Facebook, and some of them are very nice. And I don't delete my not nice Facebook people, because when they say something crappy, my other fans just jump all over them like dogs, and they just kind of fight amongst themselves. So I don't even read much of it, but I go back and look at it because I've got something going on. I haven't heard anything but positive things about Roadies, and it is fantastic. I watched the first episode in the movie theater with the cast, and I hate everything I do. Almost, I'm a horrible critic of myself, in other words. And I walked away being really, really proud of the cast and myself and Cameron for doing it. And so it's a pretty show, and it's poignant and funny, and it's got a lot of heart, and I think you're going to love it.
Now, if anyone were to look at your IMDb profile, they'll see that you really haven't ventured into the acting realm all that much, save for a role here in Horrible Bosses or whatever. What was it about Roadies that made you say, yeah, you know what, I'm going to do this?
Well, because it was, number one, the script was great, and number two, it was Cameron Crowe. There was also another factor in that my road manager was dying at the time, and he had been my best friend since I was 6 years old, and my road manager for the last 12 years of his life. And so I thought it was kind of interesting that as he was dying at Cedars-Sinai, I get a phone call to be a road manager in a Cameron Crowe film. And so literally, I told Steve, I said, I was by his bed, and I said, I'm going to go read for a part. And he goes, playing who? I said, you, buddy. And he goes, go get him. And I went down to Cameron's office and opened my mouth and sobbed for about 20 minutes and got up and left. And I'm like, well, that probably isn't what they were looking for. And so after Steve passed, Cameron called back and said, let's take another look at this. And he didn't like my acting performance that day, but he liked my heart that day. And I think that's what got me the role.
What is it like working with a director like Cameron Crowe, who is beloved around the world?
Yeah, he's just he's a genius, number one. He can get things out of me I did not know anybody could get out of me. And he creates a really safe place to try really hard, which just allows you to be better, if you feel that, that you're in a safe place to do it. And it's also just so very well written, the words just fall off your tongue. And then he's also open to change. And so if I think I would say something, my character is from where I'm from. So if I tell him I would say it like this, he's always very, very flexible. And then I feed him lines too, because he knows I'm funny. So so you'll find little jewels from me all through that show.
What about sharing the screen with not only actors the likes of Luke Wilson, Carla Gugino's in the show as well, but you've also got to kind of share the screen with some big names in music. I saw you recently posted a picture with Jackson Browne, which is awesome.
Yeah. Tonight I'm doing a scene with Eddie Vedder and Gary Clark Jr. last night, who was cool as he could be, and just ripped the stage apart. I don't know if you know that. He's a blues guitarist from Austin. Young kid, about 31 years old, just terribly talented. I had a blast. Lindsey Buckingham did one, and And then some younger people. Rain Wolf did a set, and that was unbelievable. I didn't even know who that was. But because of the way the show's set up, you never see the band. The State and House band is fictional. That's the band we tour with. That's our band. But the opening act changes every day because we can't keep an opening act because of the shenanigans or whatever. The opening act changes, and you see them. So we're able to bring on talent and do live music on the show, and it makes it makes it really fun to watch.
Have you had one of those moments where you kind of like, you geeked out a little bit that you were getting to do something with, say, Jackson Browne or Gary Clark Jr., whoever you shared the stage or the screen with? Is there any point where you thought, wow, I can't believe I'm doing this with this guy right now?
Yeah, I told Jackson Browne that who I've been, if I saw him in 73 or 72 or something like that, in a cut-down arena in Houston, and Fountain of Sorrows was always a song that meant more to me than any other song because it seemed like it was written about my sister. And every time I hear it, I just see my sister. And he sang it to me. He got his guitar out and sang me the song. And I'm like, what? I should be that generous, That's just generous. But one of my best friends is a huge rock star, so I'm kind of used to him, But one of my best friends is Brian Johnson from ACDC. And he was going to be on it too, but something came up and he had to go to London. But good Lord, you get this old, people to start dropping.
Speaking of, it's interesting that you mentioned Brian Johnson. Now I'm curious how you feel about the whole ACDC Axl Rose thing.
Well, that's pretty easy. I think that the whole band should have said, you know what, we don't have Malcolm anymore. We're going to lose our singer that's been singing with us for 35 years. Should we get Axl Rose and keep on going? I won't go see it, and I've seen the band, probably 20 times, and I know Axl can sing, but he can't sing like Brian, and the voice is not going to match, and quite frankly, the fans are in rebellion. The entire Italian fan club dropped them for doing it. I mean, people are just disgusted by it. But I think the tickets still sell, but they don't sell like they did with Brian. You know what the thing is he can still sing. It's his hearing that he's afraid to lose, and there's a new device out that fixes his hearing completely, but the thing that runs it hasn't been shrunk down to a portable size, so you got to carry around a big, huge box, which doesn't really work on rock concerts.
And Cliff Williams just announced that he will retire at the end of this Rocker Bus tour as well because of the way things have kind of shook up. So ACDC is probably, I would assume, done.
Yeah. If they lose that motor, number one, the best guitar player in the band was Malcolm. He was the engine behind that. And people think that that's pretty simple music, but it's not simple at all. That's why nobody else can play it. The rhythms on that song are really, really complicated. And my wife is a great singer and has a band, and they can do it. And Brian sings with her whenever she's in Florida. He'll get up there and do "Shoot Me All Night Long" or something. And he said that it's very rare that somebody gets all those beats right. But he said that Malcolm was the motor that made that thing run. Malcolm and Cliff, and then also Phil Rudd, the drummer. Was the best drummer in rock and roll, and he's not with them now either. So, and Angus is always the one that they would all decide, this is it. We're not going to do anymore. And then Angus is the one that gets frustrated or lonely or whatever he gets, and starts to stir it all back up again. So I hate it that ACDC's over. I think it's one of the best rock bands in the history of rock and roll, and nobody's come up with more iconic rock licks that Angus has, and he's fun to watch, and so it's too bad that it's over, but I believe it is.
Joined on the phone by Ron White. He will be here 2 shows next weekend, Saturday, July 23rd. Belle Mehus Auditorium, etix.com for those tickets. Now, Ron, how do you find time to perform nearly 200 stand-up shows, and now you're filming a television show? How do you have this kind of time?
I don't know. Well, this was only 10 weeks, and but some of those shows are when I'm in town. I live in Hollywood, and there's 3 clubs here. So when I'm not doing big shows, I'm doing little shows every night, usually 3 a night. Just to come back in. If you want to be a comedian, all you got to do is go be a comedian. But you have to do that. You got to go be a comedian. And I do it every single night, and I love it too. It's I just get to go down to the Improv or the Comedy Store and hang out with the young comics, because now I seem to be the oldest comedian up there, which is kind of weird. And but just go up there and be a comic and work the beats out on new stuff, and just like I always have. And I love it. And that's why I live here, so I have access to those clubs that I can bounce around to work on new stuff. Because if you live in a regular town, you'll have an open mic night on Tuesday. You get to do it once and then wait again. Well, I can do it 9 times in 3 days here, and you can just develop material faster that way.
Now let's talk about the upcoming shows in Bismarck. You've mentioned in other interviews that once you film something, you stop doing it live. So the shows that you do this weekend or next weekend in Bismarck are going to be pretty fresh for the fans here.
Yeah, it depends on how long you've seen me. I mean, if you saw me in Vegas or something 6 months ago, it's not going to be all that much different. It'd be different, but not all that much. But if you haven't seen me in a couple of years since the last time I was at Bismarck, there won't be one word of it the same.
What sorts of things are you covering right now when you're on the road?
It's such a hodgepodge that it's really hard to get across. There's a little bit of political stuff in it, but most of it's just the regular nonsense that I've always spewed out of my mouth. So, but what I will do, and what I'll guarantee you, is that I will gut you like a catfish and leave you laying there on the pier, and there's nothing you can do about it. If you show up, I will laugh you into a basket.
Joined on the phone by Ron White. He's going to be at the Belle Mehus Auditorium next weekend, Saturday, July 23rd. 2 shows. Tickets still available, etix.com. Now, Ron, at the end of 2015, you had announced that you were going to run for president. Is that still happening?
Well, I'm going to let these two ass clowns bumble each other, and then I'm just going to slide in at the end and take over the country. That sound okay to you?
I'll bring the free beer and hot wings. You run the country. I think we're good.
That's okay. You just got my VP nod right there.
Perfect. Fantastic.
Hot wings and beer. That's all you need. You can get all of Trump's supporters just by saying, we got hot wings and beer. Boom. We're already in the lead.
We're winning this election come November. Ron White, Saturday, July 23rd, Belle Mehus Auditorium. Get your tickets, etix.com. Ron, thanks so much. I'm looking forward to the show next weekend.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President.